All right, anyone interested in talking a little 165? I think across the board, wrestling fans across the nation are excited for this weight class, and with good reason. You know, you've got a two-time champion, Keegan O'Toole. You've got a national champion, David Carr. You have maybe the brightest young star, the most prolific scoring freshman we've seen in a long time in Mitchell Messenbrink. Those guys alone, and I think really with this weight class, you know, I just did 157. That was a weight with incredible depth. This weight does not have that level of depth, but the high-end talent here is maybe second to none for any weight class in NCAA wrestling. And so the question has been all year long, is it Keegan, is it Carr? And then not long into the season, Mitchell Messenbrink's name became one of the other names you mentioned. He's slowly been climbing the ranks, passing test after test. He beat Cam Amini, he beat him bad. And then he's got Caliendo, he beats him. And then he goes to Big Tens and he beats Hamady in the craziest match of the entire tournament. And now, so he slowly worked his way up, and now he's the 2 seed. He's one of only 2 undefeated wrestlers at this weight class. And I think his side, he's going to run through it, personally. I think he's going to run through the bottom half of this bracket and make the final. Expect a lot of bonus points along the way. I think he's going to end up going through Cam Amin again in his quarter. It could be Olenek. I had Cam beating Olenek in that rematch of a match where it looked like Cam was going to win and Olenek took it. Seems like Cam is rounding back into form. Olenek has been up and down, but now he's had a solid showing, but not great elite showing at Big 12s. So I think that's a coin flip match, but I think it doesn't matter for Mitchell's purposes. He's puts the pace on these guys and just works to score for 7 minutes straight, and when the dust settles, he normally has way more points, and I think that's what we're going to see again. And then I think it's going to be Julian Ramirez Michael Caliendo potentially in that semi, or Julian Ramirez, whoever wins that quarterfinal match. And I think this one, I think it's Caliendo. I think Caliendo takes out Ramirez and ends up making that semifinal. It's not, you know, for Julian, he's one of the best guys to not place, and I do think he's going to end up All-Americaning, but I think it's going to be a really tough match for him. Caliendo had a good showing at Big Tens. He's getting to legs well. He's a good athlete, and that's where Julian Ramirez can really challenge guys. I've got Caliendo getting this one. That's one of my slight upsets I'm calling, and don't have a ton of confidence in it, but I don't know. You take some chances here. So I've got it Mitchell over Caliendo in that semifinal, and I think it's another dominant win. Look at what we saw Mitchell do to Caliendo last time around. And if it were to be Julian Ramirez, I think that's going to be a really fun match because early on, Julian is so dangerous. He's got a lot of ability to put you on your back, and he beat David Carr this year, right? And that's why he's the 3 seed and not the 4, because he beat David Carr. So could be Julian, could be Caliendo. I think Caliendo benefits from having a lot of tough matches later in the year, and he's been able to win some of them. Whereas Julian, the schedule kind of slowed down a bit towards the second half of the year, and he took that loss to Keegan O'Toole. So that's kind of my read on the situation for the bottom half. And there's not a ton of really super interesting early round matchups. That's not to say there won't be upsets. Of course, that's what makes the NCAA so full of surprises, that people like me and fans like you look at this on paper and you're like, well, I don't think that, you know, Andrew Cerniglia is a tough match for Mike Caliendo. But then we see upsets like that all the time. The Olenek Cam Amin match is the most interesting one of this bottom half before the quarterfinals. And go back and watch that match from Vegas. It was really close, and Olenek got I think it was a late pass by to win that match. That one could go either way. Now look at the top half. Keegan O'Toole, the 1 seed, the 2-time champ, going for 3. You know, if you're a Missouri fan, you're looking at this quarter and you get a little sweaty, a little nervous, because you're going to see, man, it might be Peyton Hall again. Now you think of Peyton Hall, it's like, well, you know, he's good, right? Well, for whatever reason, he just wrestles Keegan really tough. Keegan had to mount a comeback against Peyton in their dual matchup earlier this year. It was really close, and it was a near escape from Peyton that would have sent that match, I think, in overtime. If he gets a reversal, he wins in regulation. So Peyton Hall versus Keegan O'Toole is a likely quarterfinal matchup, and you can't look past that if you're a Missouri fan. But for Peyton, he's got to get past Antrell Taylor in that second round. That's the 8-9 matchup. Antrell, so hard to score on. Peyton, A lot of offense. I cannot wait for that one. That's going to be a tight match. But I got Peyton winning that one. Looking around, Dean Hamady, David Carr, I don't think anything stops that from being a quarterfinal. And that's been a match that Carr's been able to win and win every single time they faced one another. And I think it's going to be close. I thought Dean showed a lot in his match against Mitchell Messenbrink. I mean, he was, I don't want to say handling him because of how it ended, but he was in the driver's seat in that match. He rode him tough. He was counter-scoring. He looked really good, but he couldn't handle the onslaught for 7 minutes. And against David Carr, I think it's going to be a little closer, but at the end of it all, Carr gets it done. He's going to get the takedown he needs. He might be able to ride, but I think it's probably just a one takedown match for David Carr, and he punches his ticket, and it sets up the rematch between Keegan O'Toole and David Carr yet again. This will be the fifth meeting, right? Yeah, fifth meeting, and I think it goes the way the last two have gone. I think Keegan gets it done again. I think we saw a lot. What we didn't see from Keegan really is like generating, right? Was he able to go under there, get to his legs and finish? But we've seen that in the past, but we didn't see that in the last meeting. It was a great reattack from Keegan, and then a really creative counter scramble thing from Keegan to win it. But I think Carr is going to have a hard time figuring out the scores. He's got to get back to his head inside single. Keegan's forcing it to the outside, and that's where he's really tough. And so can Carr do that? Absolutely. He can absolutely win this match and be a national champion again. But based on what I've seen the last two meetings, I'm going to go with Keegan. And then I think it sets up the match, right, with the one we've been talking about, Keegan versus Mitchell, high school teammates, Askren Wrestling Academy teammates, guys that have trained together for years. And, you know, it's not an easy call, but I'm going with Keegan. I think the size, I saw the size difference. I really think Mitchell is probably, I think he could have went 57 this year, and Ben's been kind of, you know, open about that. And I think the skills are similar. I think Mitchell can get to legs against anyone. I think he is a pure just wrestler in that he just fires and fires, and he's so, you almost want to say reckless, and I think it actually is an appropriate word, but he's reckless in a way that helps him. But I think against Keegan, he's going to have to show a little more caution, because I think when you fire in there, I think Keegan can capitalize. Then again, who's felt some of Keegan's scrambles and counter ability more than Mitchell Messenbrink? Not many people outside of the Missouri wrestling room. So I do think I'm recognized I could be overvaluing Keegan's counter ability against Mitchell. But I think all things being considered with the mat, I think I give a slight top edge to Keegan. I think I give a slight edge to Keegan in the scrambles and just the overall size. But Mitchell, if he's down late and he has to go get to the leg, and it's been a close match, that's a match that he can win. So I can't wait for this one. I mean, it's maybe the most anticipated final of them all, right? And if I had my druthers, I would end with this match at NCAAs. I think it's going to be that good. It's just two super kids, great wrestlers, great programs, and I want to see how it plays out, but I have Keegan winning that match. Let's go to the backside. I've got Carr getting third over Hamady. They're going to wrestle again. I've got Caliendo beating Julian Ramirez for fifth, and I've got Amin taking out Peyton Hall in that seventh place match. Round of 12, I've got Hamady over Olenek. I've got Hall over Thompson. I've got Amin over Garvin. And I've got Ramirez over Antrell Taylor. So really, really, really fun weight with a really impressive top end of talent. You know, I shouldn't overlook Julian Ramirez considering he beat David Carr. I know that. I know he can go with Mike Caliendo. I know he can go with Mitchell Messenbrink. I do feel like those top five are super, just fantastic wrestlers and could go a lot of different directions. Excited for this one. I know you are too. Who you got? 165. Keegan, Mitchell, David, Julian, someone else. Let me know.